Good morning. We're here at Cafe Frederick, located at 114th Street and Frederick Douglass Boulevard. And I'm here with two district leaders, the Honorable Alicia Barkdale and the Honorable Gina Smith, for this week's Let's Hear Harlem. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to jump right into the questions. I think a lot of people don't know what district leaders are, so could you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and being district leaders? Alicia's from West Harlem and Gina from East Harlem.
Well, my thoughts on district leader is that they're the bridge between the politicians and the community and supposed to work out the issues that we have within the community that they represent.
And I especially like it because it's an unpaid position. So when someone decides to be a district leader, they're doing it for the community and taking their spirit and their mind and their thoughts and their caring to the elected officials on behalf of the community. We're on the ground.
Right.
That's what's important.
And it's not like she said, a non-paid job or a glorious job. It's not about the title. It's not about being somebody or, being a focus of the whole political game. It's just about helping your community get what it is that needs to be gotten and to let them know the things that are going on in the political world that they normally don't know. Right.
So, sounds to me, and people are coming into Cafe Frederick here. A very busy place. For those of you who haven't been here before, it's located on 114th Street and Frederick Douglass Boulevard. So just to get back into the questions a little bit, you said the position's unpaid. Why would anybody want to do something that's unpaid? You two must be really dedicated to the community of Harlem to do this work and not get paid for it.
Well, I've been it's good that it's unpaid, so people know that you're not going through it for the money, because the politicians that get paid, they get paid different scales of salary, and when you're doing this as a public servant, they know that it's about community and it's not about you. I've been in the volunteer world since over 30-something years, and it's like a village. We're doing it for our village and to bring up the kids and help the seniors and help the youth and help the families that are struggling.
I think that the important thing is that the title of district leader, although unpaid, helps us to open doors to higher elected office, to officials that may or may not take a call or respond to a call without the advocacy of a district leader. So us being on the ground and being connected and close helps us to get the voice of the unheard heard, if you will. It's 30 years I've lived in Harlem, and what I continue to see is factions, and I think it's time for us to get a little closer, so the focus on the ground and the people where the focus is supposed to be is real important to me, and it always has been.
One Harlem united.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting. You come from, people coming in to continue to come in.
Yeah.
You come from East Harlem, right. Gina. You come from West Harlem.
Right.
And recently you've come together to, you joined Alicia's club recently, right. And you recently changed the name of your club to the Bill Lynch Club. You want to touch on that? What was the reasoning behind that and this idea of One Harlem?
Well, the reason why we changed the name to William Bill Lynch Jr. Democratic Club was because he gave me my first job in politics, and that was going around petitioning for a district leader and for Congressman Mangle. And since then, living on the West Side, it's a little different politics than the East Harlem and Central Harlem, but with Bill Lynch encouraging me, telling me that, this is something that you should learn because later on down the line, you're going to have to understand it when you get older. So I went to his family and I asked his family, in his honor, could we change our club name from Manhattan West Democratic Club to Bill Lynch? and they were very honored, especially after his passing in 2013, and nothing has been really generated since that. So
I think growing up, I watched my mother read that Amsterdam news, and it was critical to shaping the thoughts of compassion and concern. And we also learned that we shared issues that were important, no matter the address, no matter the location. People of color were able to see what people of color were going through nationwide, and it brought home stories that we needed to hear about in writing and in a format that was easy to understand, but also communicated directly to us. And he did that, and of course he's missed, but certainly people like us, I think, can say it's because you care about his memory and the purpose of his media message, and that was to unite people, keep them informed, let them know what the responsibilities are of elected officials, and that's what we did.
I'd like to welcome Alan Saley and Sean Diaz for joining us here on this week on our Facebook Live chat. You mentioned briefly county committee. Could you touch on that a little bit, Alicia? We recently had a special election here where the Democratic line was given to Brian Benjamin. Congratulations to Brian Benjamin, the new state senator in the 30th district. Congratulations, Brian. But it was elected by county committee. Could you just touch on that a little bit? A lot of people didn't know what that was.
county committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've been a district leader for 2 years, so it's just we're learning the process, and we're learning very fast. When you have a petition, you have your name, you have your committee to fill vacancies, and then you have your county committee. The committee to fill vacancies is if, God forbid, something should happen to the district leader or the elected official, they replace that person, they discuss it. The county committee, in case there is a vacancy seat, the committees from all of the EDs that you pick out of the EDs, because each AD has an ED and they have a certain amount, and each ED gets to pick 2 people or 3 people out of that ED. So now, when we have our petitions, we add the people from the county committee that we feel in the community from their ED to be on that committee. And once there's a vacancy, like there was for the Senate race, we call in all the county committees that are in that ED. Brian was in the 30th Senate district, so the county committee people in that Senate district had to come out and vote for him.
Sounds like it's interesting, and joining in with us every Saturday, you'll learn more about the process. One of the things we're trying to teach the entire process of the political structure. Gina, to you, you're in East Harlem. There is a big issue with the rezoning going on. You live in Schaumburg. You just want to tell us some of the happenings that are happening in East Harlem right now?
Okay, yes, to be very honest, I think the plans went in place 20 years ago, and I think that we could have, I guess if there were more attention drawn to the plan to change the landscape of Harlem, that maybe more could have been done by elected officials and others to make sure that Harlem stayed Harlem, and to bring together East Harlem and West Harlem. I live right on Fifth Avenue, so it's like the gateway of Harlem, Fifth Avenue at 110th Street. But certainly, I'm moving in my community. We see construction of apartments, and right next door, unaffordable. So whenever we hear affordable housing, we always say, okay, affordable to who? But basically, my neighbors are a lot different today than they were 20 years ago. And it's scary because people are fighting to keep their homes, and a lot of people are displaced. And I think that 20-year plan, seeing it come into full force, is a little scary. But also recently, that people are talking about changing the name of Harlem to Soho. Not going to happen. Harlem is Harlem. We want to keep our culture. We want our people to be together, and we want to unite, certainly, on what Harlem means to us and the culture of the United States.
Okay, and I wanted to touch on the affordable housing. It's not affordable, even though they say affordable. but they should target people's income so they can continue to live in Harlem as they did before. Now it's just about market rent and getting the money that they can for these developers or the people that work with the developers,
right,
and even for the real estate people because they get the commission from that. So it's harder for us that been here, seniors that are on fixed incomes, and every month or every year their rent goes up $10. That $10 is taking away from their medication or taking away from their food because they're above the cap to receive food stamps or certain benefits, and then HPD, which I'm not very fond of, but I thank HPD because I have to get HPD to continue to live. My apartment is worth $2,800 and I'm in a 2-bedroom. Without HPD, I would not be able to afford to live there. And most of us, and we're connected because she's my sister building. Schomburg is my sister building to 3333.
Right.
And so when we have a struggle, we come together as a board, as a tenant association board, and work together and try to work with management. Our fight is not management as much now, but it is HPD and the cuts that they're doing to the seniors and to the families.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You two kind of represent all of Harlem. You on the west side and Gina on the east side. I would like to welcome Sarah Steiner, Diana Morena, and my Aunt Catherine, who's watching from Virginia. And just to get back to the topics, can you elaborate a little bit more on this one Harlem that you touched on briefly, and what it means to you in your words? Harlem seems to be a very broken community politically at times. Could you two really expand on that, one coming from the east and one coming from the west side?
Okay, for me, from what I've seen and what I've noticed in Harlem politics for a number of years is entrenched politicos or politicians who make a career out of being politicians. And I would have liked to have seen more nurturing of younger people to keep them involved in the process, to let them know what their roles are, and to help hold those folks accountable, because accountability should be at the forefront of not just local politics, but certainly national politics. And I think it's important that we bring aboard young people, teach them the process, teach them how laws become laws, and that how their involvement in the process ensures their future as part of the community. And I think we've fallen short on that. We need to speak to it more daily. We need to speak to it on the ground. And I hope to have more district leaders join me and Alicia, because we get it, we've gotten it, and we've been doing it.
And we're addressing it.
Yeah, we're addressing it.
And she touched on a few things as far as the youth. The youth, we have to get them more politically involved because they are our future.
Yes.
I mean, as we see, the White House is in shambles. Communities are in shambles because gentrification. I'm from the west side. I always said that I was a stepchild from Harlem because we have City College and St. Nicholas Park and Morningside Park separating us from Harlem. So even though I'm on the west side, I'm still Harlem. I'm still part of Harlem. When I grew up in Manhattanville on 135th. I've been in 3333 for 43 years. And if we don't address these young adults into the political arena, we're not going to have people like us representing us in the future. And not to say that not everybody does. Some people represent you and some people don't. Some people just look out for themselves.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because we have to look out for our youth and we have to look out for our seniors because they paved the way for us to get to where we are now. And that's where the generations are lost in between, from the seniors to the middle age to the young adults and to the youth and the teenagers. And, chartered schools, public schools, it's crazy.
Well, I just think that we need to keep the people involved, certainly the young people, because cynicism is at a high. Young people or people in their mid-40s they don't want to get involved, actually, as much as they need to, because they have seen entrenched politicians make backroom deals at the local level, at the state level, and that needs to change, because when they look around them, they don't see much changing, and they see the same faces all the time. So I think new faces that talk to them and engage them and encourage them are necessary.
And so we're live at Cafe Frederick on 114th Street. As you can see, it's a wonderful established place. The coffee's wonderful. The people are wonderful. How can these young people get started in politics? What would be the first step for them to get started? We're getting ready to go through the petition process for the upcoming primaries. What would be the first step to get them started in politics? What would be your suggestion?
Voters registration. If they're 17 years old and they're going to turn 18 before the election date, primary day or November election day. And primary day is the most important day because that's the candidate that you vote for to run in November. So you have a slew of candidates that are running for, let's say, district leader, city council, and out of those candidates, your favorite one is where you vote for, and that person is the one that will go into the election in November. So if you see a person, and like Marvin Holland's running for city council, we would vote for, well, she can vote for him, I can't, because I'm on West Harlem. But if you see Marvin Holland, you have to come out and vote, because if you say, oh, I'll vote for him in November, he won't be on the ballot, because primary day is the most important day to all communities in the city and throughout the United States, because that's the person that you pick that you want to represent on the ballot in November, so they're guaranteed to get the position.
Can you speak to a little bit more to your place on the ballot in September as opposed to November?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot during the presidential campaign. There were a lot of, when Bernie Sanders was running against Hillary Clinton, a lot of the Bernie supporters were surprised that they couldn't vote.
Right.
And Alicia touched on something a lot of people don't know about, the importance of primaries in New York, since 4 out of 5 people are Democrats in New York City and around the state for that matter. The primary becomes the most important thing in September. So the elections are decided in September, not in November. And so I thank you, Alicia, for pointing that out. For young people to understand, to get involved in the process, you got to get involved in the primaries. And it gets a little tricky because you have to be a member of that party to vote in the primaries in New York. We have what's known as closed elections. So if you're not a Democrat, you can't vote in the Democratic primary. So in essence, you can't really decide on who's going to be your representative if you're not a Democrat. Any last words as we wrap up? Once again, this is Let's Hear Harlem, and I just want to say I'm honored to have the Honorable Gina Smith from the East Side and the Honorable Alicia Barkdale from the West Side. Any last words as we wrap up going into the petition process?
I would like to ask people to really take a look at the local elections, at the elections for city council as well. I want people to vote for someone because they deserve it, they have a message, they're speaking to them, and not just vote against someone because they're the opposing party. I think I'm always guarded against cynicism. So I think you'd like, in your case, in city council, we'd like to see you there. But also keep us there, because this is hopefully the re-election year for us, and we still have work to do. And I hope people will come out and vote for me, Gina Smith, and Alicia Barkdale, and certainly Marvin Holland. Thank you for this opportunity.
People don't realize, as a district leader, it's just not a volunteer position, it's an elected position. So just like you have to be elected the president, they have to elect us. So my thing is, look at a person that's about the community, that does for the community, that represents your community. You know, people that say, oh, I'm running for whatever position, do not just say, oh, that's my friend, I'm running for them. What has your friend done to be honorable to work that position and represent the community? So don't just put anybody because you like them, but do your research and find out what that person is about.
Well, ladies, this has been great. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to hearing from you next week. I'm Marvin Holland, City Council candidate for the 9th Council District, and this is Let's Hear Harlem. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.